The orchard at the edge of the map.
Thomas Aldrin inherited his grandfather's property in October, which was, he would later understand, the wrong time of year to first see an apple orchard in full bloom. The estate was modest, 12 acres of rocky Pennsylvania hillside, a farmhouse that smelled of cedar and neglect, and at the far northern edge of the land, past a stand of dying hemlocks, a stone wall he did not notice until his third morning there. He had been clearing brush along the property line when the wall emerged from the undergrowth like something the earth had slowly been digesting and had not quite finished with. Beyond the wall was the orchard. 47 trees, he counted. He counted them twice because the first count seemed wrong, and the second count seemed more wrong. Each one was in full blossom, white flowers so dense the branches beneath them were invisible, and beneath the blossoms, fruit. Red gold apples in clusters, heavy and ripe, with the particular luminous quality that October sunlight gives to things that have no business being that beautiful. The grass between the trees was cropped short and impossibly green. A path of flat stones wound between the trunks in a pattern that almost made sense. It was 41 degrees Fahrenheit. His breath was fogging. He stood at the wall and looked at the blossoming trees for a long time. He told himself the apples were a different variety, late-bearing, climate-protected by the valley they sat in.
He did not eat one that day.
He went back to the farmhouse and looked through his grandfather's papers. There were deed records going back to 1887, tax filings, a journal with water-damaged pages that he set aside for later, and several hand-drawn maps of the property. The maps were meticulous. Every tree, every stone wall, every drainage ditch recorded in his grandfather's precise hand. The hemlock stand appeared on each map. The stone wall appeared on none of them. Where the orchard should have been, the oldest map simply read, "Not surveyed." That night, Thomas sat on the farmhouse porch and looked north and could see, or thought he could see, a pale light through the hemlock branches. Blossom light. The kind of luminosity that things generate when they have no reason to be visible and are visible anyway. He went to bed. He did not sleep. On the fourth morning, he ate one of the apples. He had not intended to. He had walked to the orchard again, this time with a notepad and his phone to photograph the trees, and he had reached up for what he thought was a branch to move aside, and his hand had closed around fruit instead. The apple came free easily. Too easily, the way a word comes free when you have been trying not to say it. He stood there holding it, smelling the particular cold, sweet smell of it, and then he bit through the skin. The taste was the wrong question. What happened when he bit into it was not taste, exactly, but a quality of attention, as though someone had turned up the light in a room he had always thought was well lit. The hemlocks had individual needles. The stone wall had textures he had not noticed, names almost, something engraved in geological time. A bird 40 yards away turned its head, and he understood for a moment what it was looking for. Then the understanding passed, and he was standing in the orchard with apple juice on his chin, and a man he had never seen before was watching him from between the trees. The man was old, 70s at least, wearing clothes that suggested he had not updated his wardrobe since roughly 1972. He had Thomas's grandfather's jaw. He had his grandfather's way of standing still in a way that made you aware of the weight of him, the specific gravity. He was dead. Thomas was nearly certain, though he could not have said why he was certain or what that certainty cost him. "You should not have eaten that," the man said, "before you knew what it meant." Thomas asked what it meant. The man looked at the trees in the particular way people look at things they have been responsible for too long. "The orchard does not belong to us," the man said. "We belong to the orchard. Your grandfather kept it for 61 years. He kept the wall in repair. He kept the path clear. He kept himself available, which is the most important part and the part I was never able to explain to him in a way he found acceptable. The old man paused. He kept it well, in the end. He understood it better than he wanted to. Thomas asked what he was supposed to keep it from. The man turned and looked at him with an expression that Thomas could not name then and cannot name now. Pity, or perhaps recognition, or perhaps the look you give someone when they have asked exactly the right question in exactly the wrong way. Nothing, the man said. You keep it for. There is a difference, and it matters. He was gone before Thomas turned around.
That was 6 years ago. Thomas lives in the farmhouse now full-time. He clears the path between the trees twice a month. He keeps the stone wall in repair. He does not eat the apples more than twice a year, because twice a year is enough to understand what you are doing here, and more than that becomes something else, becomes want, becomes need, becomes a thinning of the self that he suspects is irreversible past a certain point. His grandfather's journal, when he finally read it, described the same calibration. Once a season at most, his grandfather had written, "After a certain number of years, you will no longer need to." He is not sure what the orchard is. He has stopped needing to know. The trees bloom in every season. The fruit is always ripe. In winter, the blossoms are lit from underneath by something that has no name in the visible spectrum. People from town sometimes stop at the hemlock stand and stare north and say they thought they saw something. And Thomas says yes. The light does interesting things up here. And they nod and go home and forget it by morning. The ones who don't forget it come back, and then Thomas has to decide what to tell them. He tells them the truth. Most of them do not believe him. Some of them do, and for those people, he explains about the apple, once a year, twice at most, and about the wall, and about the path, and about what it means to keep something that was never yours and never not yours either. Most of those people leave and do not return. A few stay. He does not know yet what that means. He is still learning what this place requires. He suspects he will be learning for a long time. His grandfather's last entry in the journal is 3 words. It is ready. Something lives at the edge of every map. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more dark stories. The next one is already waiting.